The federal government has declared flooding hitting New South Wales as a natural disaster, which activates emergency funding support for those in need. Joining us live now is the National Senator Matt Canavan. Senator, good to see you this morning. So the government has moved pretty quickly on this one, you've got to say.
Well, it's the right thing to do, and it's the thing that all governments do in cooperation with state governments. There's been a lot of politics in disaster funding the last few years. I don't intend to add to it in this regard. Government should support Australians that are in need. They always do. I remember when the former Prime Minister Scott Morrison first came to power, he did an enormous effort up there in the Gulf with the floods there, and I hope this government does similar to help the people of Sydney and New South Wales during these floods.
Given that there's been so many floods in the same areas, Matt, is there time to have an uncomfortable conversation about people who live in these areas? Should they be given extra assistance or extra financial assistance to be able to move away from them? So the government is not continually pouring money into the same problem, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to be careful with what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is just something that has to be worked out at each individual level. There's not a broad sweeping answer or a general answer I can give for that. It depends on the area, it depends on the costs of moving them. Obviously, the planning laws are something for state and local governments to fix and work out. They'll probably come to the federal government, of course, if they want any kind of package to do something like a move of houses. I haven't seen that in detail proposed here. But it does also mean we should look at dams again as well. Look at all this water and all this water going out to sea. More of it should be captured so we can also mitigate some of this flooding, but capture it for future use as well. So I hope the Warragamba Dam proposal continues to be investigated properly, and we don't let sometimes trivial environmental issues outweigh the future potential as water security for our country by building dams.
Interesting piece out of the AFR this morning, Matt, that China's deepening alliance with Russia has led to Beijing to boosting its purchase of Vladimir Putin's cut-price coal. What do you think of that?
Well, China and India have been big winners from the sanctions that Western countries have imposed on Russia. They are getting an energy-free kick. Those two countries now are getting their energy sources at a much cheaper rate than the Western world, because the Western world, or the free and democratic world, is unilaterally disarming our energy production, while the rest of the world continues to use what is produced at a much cheaper rate. This is ridiculous, because it's all well and good for Anthony Albanese to go to Kiev, and I support him trying to help the brave Ukrainian government. But $100 million and 20 Bushmasters isn't going to slow down Vladimir Putin. What we should be doing is increasing our energy production. That's what's funding Vladimir Putin's war. And that is what is giving an advantage and a free kick, as I say, to countries like China, which are getting their energy for free. So why aren't we increasing our production of coal and gas to replace the coal and gas that is now off the market from Russia in free and democratic countries, so that we can support this war effort? Because as the President of the United States tweeted over the weekend that we're at war. He said we're at war. Well, if we're at war, why are we unilaterally disarming our energy production? It makes no sense whatsoever.
I'm not sure, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm not sure the sanctions are having a huge impact overseas despite what's been done.
Well, they are. I mean, as I say, they're having an impact in the sense that what's happened is, of course, now energy flows have just redirected. So what Russia used to export, a lot of coal and gas and oil to Europe, it still does export a lot, but just less than before February. And what used to go to Europe is now going to India and China. And as you and the AFR have identified there, at cut price deals. And that just gives a big free kick to some of the countries that we are competing against, that are taking our manufacturing jobs. And so these sanctions are really cutting off our nose to spite our face, unfortunately. As I keep saying, as I've said from the start, I've said this from the day of the invasion, that our response here should be to increase energy production in Western countries so we undercut Vladimir Putin's business case. He is funding this war through the sale of coal, oil and gas. And while he's having to sell those at lower than market prices in China and India, it's still making enormous amounts of money for Russia. Indeed, the Russian ruble is at 7-year highs to the US dollar.
Yeah.
That's because these Western sanctions are not stopping him selling his commodities, not stopping Vladimir Putin making money. The only way we do that is if we increase supply of the commodities that he relies on.
Okay, Matt Canavan, good to see you again. We'll talk to you again soon.